And in a second, you'll see the little red recording dot in the top left-hand corner of the screen, and that will mean that we're recording. Maybe. It's still loading on my end. Is it loading on your all too? It could be that I'm a tab hoarder. That really hasn't. Okay, there we go. All right. So today's session is Seesaw for elementary educators. Does that mean that if you're a middle school teacher or a high school teacher, that this will not be useful for you? Absolutely not. It's just usually when we get to middle school and high school, a lot of the teachers already use Google Classroom, and this platform will seem very similar, but this is very, 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 or can be very, very, very useful for you and your content, regardless of what you teach, if it's a core class or not extracurricular, exploratory class. That's what I was looking for. So hopefully you get some really good information as we go along. And for those of you who don't know me, I know we have some new faces in the crowd today. We have 19 people here, and most of the names sound familiar, but just in case, this is my face. I would turn on my camera, but I don't want to scare anybody. My name is Stella Pollard. I always make a joke. My middle name's Ruth, and my parents, they didn't realize that they were naming me Stellar. But my first paycheck that I ever got, my boss said, I think they misspelled your name because they put Stella R. Pollard. And he said, I don't think your name is Stellar. And I was like, what? Rude. But yeah. So I'm Stella Pollard. I am your digital learning coach for Franklin County Schools here in Frankfort, Kentucky. Here is my email address. And I'm going to share this slide deck with you later on. But on the slide deck, I've linked all of our PD resources. So if you are interested in any of our Go at Your Own Pace or registering for any of our other summer resources, you have that link right there. These are just some badges. I actually stole this from another presentation that I did. That's why the background's different than the rest of the slides, so I'm sorry. But we're going to talk about Seesaw today. And if you have never heard of Seesaw, because on the survey that I sent out, it was mixed. I had about half of you say that you've heard of Seesaw, and about half say that you've either not heard about it or maybe you've heard about it. So Seesaw is a digital portfolio that you're going to be able to store all of your students' work in. You're going to be able to organize it in folders if you want to. It is very engaging for the students because it brings in different types of ways for students to show what they know and how they learned. So they'll be able to represent their learning with pictures and videos and drawing and text. And that's not just from you. You as a teacher can do all of it too, but they as students have the ability to do all of that as well. Also, one of my favorite things about Seesaw is that, in my opinion, my personal opinion, I think the paid Seesaw is dope. I went back and forth about calling it dope. Don't take it the wrong way. I just mean that it's really cool. I love what it can do. My background as a teacher comes from middle school science, and if I had found out about Seesaw before I became an instructional technology coach, I would have been using this with my middle schoolers because it is so amazing. It's completely student driven, and any student can do it because you can make the directions be as simple as you want to. So even if you're working with kindergarten, preschool, or first grade, or very, 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 very little people, they're able to do it. I know they are because I've tried it out with my daughter. She is in kindergarten and she has autism, and she can do this. Sometimes she hates me for it because it still is work. But a lot of the things are really, really fun for her, and they're engaging and they catch her attention. Seesaw can be used on any device. So if we go into a hybrid mode next year to where students are working online some of the times, or if we have to go fully NTI, it's going to be available on whatever device their parents have. So if the parents only have an iPhone or an Android phone, they're going to be able to download that app and they're going to be able to work wherever they are. And it's actually going to be really easy for the students to work on the phone. The app is very, very, very user friendly. I'm sorry, I'm saying very a lot. I just caught on to that. I'll quit. They can use it on computers, Chromebooks, or whatever. Completely amazing. So teachers can also post directions by recording voice. If you work with kindergartners, we can't post something like what we see on my screen right now and expect them to be able to read all of that. But what you can do is record your screen and post little, like a little video or of just speech talking about the directions and expectations that you have. And then lastly, it has the ability to share work and communicate with parents. Like you just put in their email address and they can automatically get in there and see what their child is doing and be able to help them. And there's tons of content, very good content on here readily available for you to use and modify to fit your own students' needs. So whenever I talk about Seesaw, I get really, really, really excited because I think that it's just something that everybody can use. Robin, absolutely. It can be used on an iPad, and that's what Audrey uses it on. I love that they're able to use it on any device because sometimes if I'm in the car and Audrey's being bad, I'm like, hey, you know what? You just got to write your numbers right now. So it's really fun. Awesome. Okay. Before I go any further, I wanted to let you all have a chance to explore what Seesaw is as a learner. So right now you're hopping into your other mode and you're becoming a student. I know that we usually are the teachers and we want to learn how to make everything in order to give to our kiddos, but it's really hard to picture this if you don't see it from a student's point of view. So I have two different example classes here. I want to talk a little bit about each of these types of classes before I tell you how to log on to Seesaw. So Seesaw gives you three options when you create a class. It gives you the ability to do one-to-one devices. Students with sign in with Google. So what that means is if they're logged into the Chromebook with their @stu.franklin email address or whatever district you're with, then they're just going to click that sign in with Google button. They'll type in this code only one time, and then from then on, every time they go to Seesaw, they will not need a code. It will automatically tie them directly to your class, and that is pretty user friendly. This is also good for importing classes from Google Classroom because it can do that. The other option is a shared device. So with shared devices, students have two sub-options with that. They can log in with Google, but they'll need that code every time. Or they can just go to Seesaw, type in this code every time, and just click their name. So play around with both of those and see which one you think would be more suitable for your class. I will say kindergarten teachers, first grade teachers, if this scares you because you think that your child cannot type out their full email addresses, I do have some more information about how to make that easier for you after we get finished with this activity. So to get logged in, I'm going to open up an incognito window. That way I'm signed out. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you are watching this on your computer and you want to use your phone for it, feel free to download the app and see what it's like on there. But if you're going to the website on your computer, you're just going to go up here to your search bar and type in app.seesaw.me. And when you get there, I know it's going to be very tempting to press I'm a teacher, but click I'm a student. Don't worry, it won't mess up your account. I've got tons of classes that I'm enrolled in. When you click I'm a student, it's going to ask you either to sign in with Google or they can log in with their Clever badges. If you're unfamiliar with what a Clever badge is, it's kind of like a QR code that's generated for every student, and it will automatically log them in. They just hold that QR code up to their camera, and it will automatically log them in. So if you teach kindergarten, first grade, or the little people, you can click that, and this is what it looks like. They'll just click this badge login, and they would hold up their badge if they had one, and it would scan and sign them in. So that's really, really cool. If you are interested in seeing what just the shared device one is, where students do not have to use any login whatsoever, just copy this code into your box. So if I type in screen split, if I do that, it's going to pop up like this. Do you all have any questions so far? You're still good. I don't want to cover up the codes. I want to make sure that you all can see those. That's pretty important. I can also, it might be helpful if I type those into the chat box. So you can just copy and paste. Oh, thank you, Robin. I see what you said there. Is this better? Okay. So, all right. Thank you, Robin. So once you get to Seesaw, I'm in the shared devices account right now. You want to click on where it says activities. And then your students will just look through here and they'll see all of the things, all of the assignments that you have posted as a teacher. And I think for some reason it might have me logged in. No, it's got me logged in as a student. Okay. So the student would just click add response and they would pick their name. So I went ahead and put all of your all's names on this list just so it would be easy for you to pick which student you are. If your name is not on the list, I am so sorry. You can pick a sample kiddo. I'm going to pick sample 9. So the directions are already on there. This teacher that created this assignment already made play instructions. So I don't know if you could hear that or not, but she's already recorded the directions. Like that's her reading them. So the student is going to mark an X on the alphabet that they cannot pronounce yet, and they're going to use a pencil to point to each letter as they're recording. So for instance, what they would do is click on this little microphone. They have to click allow that first time that they use it on their device, just because of safety features. They'll click start recording, and they would go through this list. And let's say that they said on this one and that was wrong, so they and their parent could put an X on it. When they get finished with this whole list, they can click done. They can listen to it. They can redo it. Oh, sorry. They can redo it. There's a little option underneath it that they could redo. But on that sheet, they have the ability to go in and sorry, actually I will not write on yours. They have a pencil, a pen, a highlighter, a marker, and an eraser. They can take pictures, they can upload pictures, Usually, like if they're just doing a math problem, then they could take a picture of whatever they worked on and layer it right over top of what they have. Jordan, hang on. Emily, yes, it will give you the code, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. The code's already generated for you. Jordan, which class are you in, Jordan? Are you in the shared devices or the one-to-one? Okay. Try to go back and do the shared devices, and I'll check the one-on-one when I give you all some free time just to play around. Oh, yep, I sure can. Let me type in the URL in the chat box here. So you go to that website that I just put in the chat box, app.seesaw.me, and then I'm going to put in the code for the shared devices now until I can figure out what I've done wrong with that one piece. So when you click on that, click I'm a student, then click activities. Well, where's my window? Open up a new one. So I wanted to give you all some time to play around. Awesome, Jordan. Right. I'll check and see what I've done wrong with that one-to-one. I posted some activities last night, but maybe I didn't press save. Just to be honest with you, that's probably what happened. So I'll add some in there, but it will work exactly the same, except students will not have to click on their names. Okay, now I'm back. So click activities and you'll see some there for that PD shared device. So while I want to give you all about 5 minutes just to play around and use the features and see what some of these are like, these are all activities that I found in their database, and I made this be kindergarten friendly just because it's easier if I give examples from one. The other one is supposed to be a 4th grade, so I will figure out what's going on that. I'll let you all know when that one's fixed. If you have any questions during the next 5 minutes, I will be watching the chat window. So feel free to hop into there and type out your questions or hop on your microphone.
Hey, Stella, I have a question.
Okay.
So I'm noticing that like in the student mode, if you click on the like the little box that says 0 responses, the approval drafts and not responded, it pulls up your class list. And like, for example, when you turned in something for sample 9, it now says waiting for approval. I'm just curious, will the students be able to see their other classmates' work, or is it like just like it says their status and it won't like actually upload their work?
That is a great question. So what happens is the teacher has the ability to share the work, like share work samples with the class for them to see. So you could spotlight certain students if you wanted to, and have discussions about what they did or whatever. But
Awesome.
you would. Sorry, what was you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, friend. All right.
Stella, Charlene here. I was logged into the meeting on a different device, and I was having audio problems with it, so I had to switch over, and I missed. I think I missed a little bit in the meantime. I'll be watching the recording later, but I was I know we're supposed to be doing something right now, but I missed how to get to that.
I'm gonna share it back in the chat box. That way you can play around with it too. We're just playing around as a student.
Okay.
That first one is a link to go to the website.
Okay.
And this code that you'll put in.
Okay. The CKODPD.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
No worries.
Hey, Stella.
Uh-huh.
I did the I can count to 20 thing, and I saved it or something, and now I'm in the journal, and it has a little green circle that says add.
Uh-huh.
Does it save it to their journal like?
It does. And then if they ever, like, let's say that tomorrow you want the students to go back and reflect on what they learned from the previous day, they can go in and add to their journal. So
Okay,
it's kind of just like an interactive journal that you would do with a composition of the green.
cool.
I see your all questions in the window. I will get to those in just a minute. All right, our timer has counted down. And do you all feel like you had enough time to explore, or do we need a little bit more time for that? If you need more time, feel free to continue while you are playing around with a couple of things. I found out what was wrong with the one-to-one device. I'd added students, I added your all's names to the shared device before I added activities, and I had not added anything after you all had joined the one-on-one class. So students do have to be enrolled in the class before they'll see those activities. Does that make sense? Okay. Emily said, is there something parents can access to explain how to use? Yes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Seesaw offers a printed out little cheat sheets, what I call them, or a one-pager, or whatever you want to call them, that you can print out and send to your parents, or you can send it individually by reminder, or however you get things to the parents of your student. Madison, is there a way to lock it to where they can only upload work under their name? Madison, that will only happen if they sign in with their Clever badges or if they sign in with their Google account. If you are interested in Clever badges and how to get those, we need to, I'm going to take a poll at the end to see which schools are interested so I can get that information to our STCs and Mr. Pack. Madison, I'm sure with fifth graders, your students probably are already using, well, I know over at home they're using their Google account. So I would do the one-to-one device or the signing with Google. Robin, when a student finishes an activity, I'm just going to go into this one, and let's say that I'm done with it because sometimes that's what we get. They just click this green check button, and it will automatically save it for them. If they ever want to go in and edit the item, they can click these three dots and click edit item. Oh, Emily, no, you are perfectly fine. Emily said she didn't understand what I meant when I said the activities didn't show up for the one-to-one device. So I posted all of these assignments yesterday, and let me show you what I have in my teacher account. So on the one-to-one account for my teacher, this is all of the assignments that I have. On my student account, it's only showing what I have, what's been assigned to me since I was a student enrolled into the class. Since I wasn't a student in the class yesterday, all of yesterday's assignments and activities are showing up. So did I answer your question? I thought I skipped yours. I'm sorry. So students can share with other students if they want to. And to do that, dots are gone. They would click those three dots and it would say share to student or something. Add something to my journal. No, that's beautiful. So down here, oh, that's fine. They click these three dots and they can click edit people and they can share it. I'll share it with Emily. She's at the top. And then they can see it. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Charlene, if you ever get that, then this little lock button here. So Charlene's asking about why it's not letting her use her microphone. If you click this little lock button,
Okay.
you're going to see where it says microphone. Make sure that it says allow.
Okay. Cool.
And that's a really good feature to know for students too, not even just for Seesaw, but for other things as well. If you're ever needing to use the camera or the microphone and it's saying that it's not allowed or whatever, have them click that little padlock and make sure that their camera is not blocked or their microphone is not blocked.
Well, that's good to know because I was just thinking that I would know to always open up Seesaw up in either, Firefox or Chrome. But this is even better because sometimes you're already in a browser and you want to go ahead and do something. But it's even better to know what to coach students for.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why my microphone's not been working. And I've been sending kids to the library, to the tech guy to get him to fix their microphones.
Sure.
And I felt like a total
Well, I was just going to do the workaround of always trying to remember I had to check which browser I was in first. This is so much better.
Yes, and I'm sure that Firefox has something similar there. It
Sure.
might be somewhere else. I'm not as familiar, but I can figure that out sometime. Okay. I don't see any more questions in the chat box, so I'm going to let you all wrap up doing whatever you need to with that, and then when you get finished, just feel free to come back to the Google Meet window if you've got your Meet window blocked. Meet window sounds like a daily. That's weird. All right. I'm going to sign out of my account. That way I can show you everything from the beginning. So, what did you all think? Is this something that you feel like your kiddos can use? Sorry, I'm really close to the hospital, so I'm getting lots of ambulances going by. If you hear those. But do you all think it's something that you could use with your kiddos? Good. Tracy said she likes it. Thank you, Tracy. I do too. Awesome. I think, in my opinion, and you all know that I'm a huge Google Classroom user. I love me some Google Classroom. I really, really, really feel like Seesaw is just so much more user friendly for our little people. Oh, Maureen, absolutely. That microphone piece is huge. And think about also how amazing the microphone piece will be for our kiddos that need differentiation, not just special education students, but students who have ESL or students whose parents need to help them and maybe they struggle to read the content, or parents are working and students are trying to read the content themselves. Yes, Maureen, absolutely. Speech path, absolutely. And something to think about for you as well. And when we get into the community library and we start seeing all the activities, there's tons of ways to use that camera recording button for them to make a video, and you can watch their mouth as they're trying to form their letters. I'm sure that that would be useful for you too. So, absolutely.
Stella, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Is there a limit on how long a recording can be? Like, could I read a book to my class and record it and then insert it in there?
I think the recording limits are 5 minutes long. However, the district is repurchasing Screencastify for next school year, and we will have unlimited videos, and then you can just upload the video into Seesaw, and I'll show you how to do all of that.
That sounds scary, but okay.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Also, remember that whenever we do read books, that we need, sometimes that's breaking copyright. So make sure that if you do read a book that you're not breaking any of those copyrights. I'm obligated to say that. I know it's not fun. Absolutely, Sterling. Okay. Keep typing in your thoughts and opinions and questions and comments in that chat box. I am seeing those. I've got 3 screens, so I can see everything. So, with that being said, I am going to move along, but I am keeping an eye on that chat window as well. So, I also want to say that with the shared devices, like with students not logging in with Google, that code refreshes every hour, which is a huge bummer for me. And thinking about as a teacher, like even this morning before the PD session, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get the code. It's not the same as it was last night. Just putting that time crunch into thought about how busy schedules are in the mornings and everything. To me, I highly recommend getting those Clever badges. Like Jimmy Pack, our district chief technology coordinator, he makes the codes, like he sets it all up, and then I help you print them. It really is not any work for you. It's just we print the codes for you. And then it's just easier. So I already kind of talked about this, but as you all can see, I'm kind of a little bit biased, which one I think is really the coolest, just because that code, I couldn't imagine trying to keep up with that code changing every hour. Like, I get why they do it, because the kids can get in there and pick any student's name that they want to, and it's just a safety hazard. But with signing in with Seesaw, you won't have to worry about them having to click on their name, because what if you had two Jasons in one class? That happens sometimes. So if they have their Seesaw, it will be tied directly to their account. So absolutely, but unfortunately, some publishers, like it's been in the news and everything about how publishers, not really even the authors, but the publishers of books have been suing districts and individual teachers for misusing their work. It's sad. I think it's mean. Okay, so to get started with Seesaw as a teacher, you can go to app.seesaw.me again. I always forget that and go straight to seesaw.com. Either one of those will get you there. And when you get there this time, if you're still logged in as a student, feel like you can click on your name in this corner up here and log out. So let me just log in. You want to click I'm a teacher this time. And I always sign in with Google just because I like having that same credentials for every website. I don't have to remember anything. If you're still logged in as a student, you can click up here where it says your name and click this little cog wheel and click sign out. Charlene, absolutely, with those flavor badges and laminating, it absolutely works. I know that some teachers have the students place them in the back of their binder or tape them into the back of their composition notebooks, and that works. They can just hold up their notebooks they use every day to scan. But yeah, any way that you can laminate to preserve those cards would be perfect. Ashley, if you are interested in your flavor badges, get with your school's STC or just shoot me an email and I can let Jimmy know. We have to get all of our principals on board with flavor badges. I don't think they really, some of them don't understand what all they can do and how easy it makes their kiddos' lives and our teachers' lives. But I think our principals are more on board with that this year than they have been because they understand. Our principals really are flexible and they continue to brag on you all the time. All right. So is everybody logged in or do you know how to log in? So seesaw.com, click I'm a teacher, sign in with Google if you prefer that. If you like having different usernames and passwords for every website, you're a saint and you're amazing. But I love that login with Google. The first time that you're in there, I can't remember if it gives you some prompts to walk through. It might ask for permission to talk to your Google account. If it asks you for any of that, it's perfectly fine. It's safe. You don't have to worry about it stealing any of your information because they are good. So to create your class, you click on your name and click Create New Class. You can import directly from Google Classroom. So like Sue and Madison, I know some of you all use Google Classroom already. If you want to import your students directly from Google Classroom, you can do that and pick which class it is that you want to import from. But if you don't use Google Classroom, you can give it the name of your class. And then pick which grade level that you are teaching. So I'm going to pick 10th grade. That's pretty scary. I couldn't imagine teaching 10th graders. Click that green check button and you have your class created. Tammy, make sure that you click your name here and click this little cog wheel and sign out as a student. And then just refresh the Seesaw page and see if it gives you the option to do teacher. Robin, if you teach intervention and you want to, how many kids do you have? It might be easier for grading if you make a different class for each grade level. Does that make sense? Because if you want to assign tasks just to your fifth graders, then I'm going to show you how to go through and pick which students get what assignments in just a little bit. But if you teach like the next class is kindergarten, then it would be hard to remember. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
You're the best. And Emily recommends the same. And if Emily recommends it, then it has to be good. She's the bomb. Okay. So creating your class is super, super easy. You can create as many classes as you want to. I went through and deleted like 15 last night because I played around with this a lot. So you can add, and you can see that on my classes that I have created, I have little bubbles here that are red. That means that I have things turned in for review or I've got messages. We'll get back to that in just a second. So here's my new class. And the first thing that always pops into my head after I create a new class is, how do I get my students in it? I want my kiddos to be there. This not a party without my kids. So this little plus button here, it's going to ask you, do you want your students to sign in using their Google account or email address? If you click yes, you can change it. So next year, if you do not get your Clever badges and you really want to use Seesaw, you can go back and change it to this. I do recommend this one. I'm going to put it like a big imaginary gold star right there. If you do not want your kiddos to sign in with Google, but you do want them to do kind of like what we did, where they click and they type in their code and they select their name, then you'll click this one. I'm going to click this one just because this one scares me. I taught middle school, y'all. They would get on each other's accounts and do very bad things. So I'm going to click this one. And especially since my fake class is 10th grade. I couldn't imagine. Okay. So it will give you this little sheet to where students follow those instructions. It shows them how to get to the website. So they'll go here. They can do it on anything. So choose I'm a student. And then since I have picked the sign in with their Gmail account, this code is good for 7 days. It also gives you this big red warning to never share codes on social media. So the students would do exactly what we did. They'd go to app.seesaw.me, they'd click I'm a student, then type in that code, and then sign in with their Google or Gmail. Emily, yes, they do. And especially if we turn on those Clever badges for everybody, then that means that they have a Gmail. It's just their Gmail is set up a little bit differently, meaning that they cannot send emails out. Like they can, it's called a playground, is what Jimmy calls it. I'm sure that's a technical term, but it means that they have very limited access to their email account. Oh, Emily says that you can only add 10 classes for the free version. Thank you, Emily. I guess I did not delete 15. It felt like 15. I do not pay for the premium one. Okay. So once the students do that, they're going to be enrolled. And then the next time that you click students, you're going to see them there. So just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to go to our class and click student. And I will be able to see all of my kiddos on my list here, on my journal. So you're right, but if it were me, since you do have A-B classes, I would still say first period, second period, or whatever. Because your Infinite Campus will still be set up probably in periods and in alphabetical order. All right. So after you click on students and you get your students added, and let's say that it's the second week of class and everybody's logged in, they're doing their stuff, they're getting everything together, you can click this little families button and you can turn on family access to where you can then invite families by their email or their mobile number. If you don't have those readily available, you can get them from Infinite Campus, but that would be a lot of work for you all. And let's be honest, next school year is going to look so crazy that if we can put any of the work like off of our backs, you totally can do that by printing invites or sharing an invite link. So they would click and you would get to approve before they just automatically start getting notifications for, let's say, Megan. So you could print invites, you can print them in English or any other language listed on this list. And then if you press that print, it's going to give you individual information for your kiddo. If it will load. Okay, so you can see that this one's addressed directly to Alana family. They could scan this QR code or they could do whatever these directions say. And you can see that the teacher does have to approve it. So if a student loses their paper, some random person can get in there and see their work. So that is awesome, I think. Like just having that accountability feature to where the parents are going to be able to see everything the students turn in. So we talked about how to create classes, how to add our students, and how to add our family members. If you do like what I did for this class, where I'd already had your all's names preloaded in here, then when you click add students, it gives you the ability to enter a list of students. Do you all have any questions about how to create, how to add students, or how to add families so far? Awesome. If you're still typing and I didn't give you enough time to finish, please send those questions in. I will answer them. There's also this new thing. This right up here is completely new. They came out with it because of COVID. And it says using Seesaw for home learning. And you can get those home learning codes. So you pick which class that you want to download the codes for, and it will show the parents how to use Seesaw. And it's exactly what was at the top of this one. So it just gives them some frequently asked questions and all of that. Okay, so all of that is fine and dandy. And after we get all of our structure built, then we really want to be able to see the content that we can add. So to do that, you want to click this big green add button. And every single time that I have been thinking about posting something in Seesaw, I always have to walk myself through this. So these 3 prompts from the green add button, if you have, let's say, a worksheet that your students have turned into you and you want to post that as a spotlight, then you can post that student work and it will add it directly to that student's journal or share it with the class. It could be any of these options here. So I always think about taking a picture of a hard copy of something that we've done in class that wasn't already completed on Seesaw, but you could also add a drawing or a video for students or any of those other options. You can also upload stuff directly from Google Drive. So let's say that they did do something inside of Google Classroom or they've done something in Google Slides or whatever. You can click this upload button and you can upload directly from Google Drive. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. That's a great feature. But the send announcements kind of like, oh, I want to share a thought with you, or today's task, here's my expectations, anything like that. But this middle one is where the gold is. So I'm going to click on Assign Activity because that's where you can go, and you're going to see all of the activities that you shared with any of your classes ever. So that can kind of get a little bit lengthy if you want, because I have 54 things in there. But this is where in the My Library you can go and create an activity. So I would give it a title. So make sure that yours is more descriptive than mine. Oh, okay. I would type my instructions here, make them be as lengthy as I want. I could add my voice instructions. So this right here is what I would click on if I wanted to read my instructions. As soon as I click that microphone, I have up to 2 minutes to record all of my instructions. It can just be me reading all of the instructions or giving them a little bit more detail. And then you can also add multimedia instructions or examples. So if you wanted to take a picture or make a drawing or make a video to show them what to do with their assignment, then you can do any of these options. So if you've made a Screencastify video to share with them what to do on this assignment, you can click Upload and click Select from Google Drive. The first time that you click that, you will absolutely have to sign in with Google and give it permission to talk to your Google Drive. It is 100% safe, so make sure to do that. But your Screencastify videos are saved directly inside of Google Drive. Click, and it will upload that. If you don't know what Screencastify is, I just realized that I'm throwing that term around very often. It is the ability to record your screen. It's a screen recorder. There is a PD session coming up later in July that you can use. Okay, after the video uploads, you can give it a caption if you want to. And then click the green button, and it will add that to your directions inside of that assignment. If I click the green button.
Stella, the recording you said was limited to so many minutes. Does the Screencastify fall inside that time limit, or is that a way to extend the direction?
It's a way to extend it. So if you need it longer than 2 minutes, then you can make a Screencastify video. And the Screencastify videos can be 100 minutes. I wouldn't recommend it, but it can be however long you want to. It has no limit on the length of the video. You can also add a template for student responses. So what the template is, let's pretend that you have a PDF or a worksheet or something else that you want the students to annotate on top of, then this template is for you. You would click Add Template, and if you have that PDF saved on your computer or in your Google Drive, you can upload directly from there. You can add a note or add a drawing if you're really talented at drawing those. It could be links or videos. My two favorite are the photos and then the upload. So this time I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to pretend that what I have here is a PDF worksheet. So let's just pretend that I'm doing a math worksheet here. I'm taking a picture of it. It would be in better quality with probably not my face on it. And then I could add some text on top of there. And the students will be able to annotate directly on top of it, regardless of what I have. So like if I have a microphone, it just shows a little bubble here. They will not be able to delete anything that I add as a template. I need my finger to move that. If you want to change the color of your text or the color of your pencil, this works exactly the same for students. They can use this little slider bar here to do that, as can you. And you can add multiple pages, but those multiple pages are part of the premium feature. So I would just recommend having different assignments, different tasks for each thing that you want to complete. After you have it finished the way that you want, click your green check mark. And it's going to ask you if everything's okay. So you can preview everything that you've done. And you'll click save. And then it's created. So to assign to your classroom, like let's say that you wanted to create all of these activities this summer, and then later in the fall you want to use them, you just go to your library and find that assignment and click assign, and then pick the class that you want to assign it to. Click assign to one class or however many classes you want, and it will be there the next time the students log in.
Hey, Stella,
Uh-huh.
is there a way that we can like share the activities with like our teammates? Like if we're all going to be doing the same activity, like one of us could make it and share it with the others?
Absolutely, and that is a great question. So what they would do is just go to the community and they would look up the activity that you created. There is a way to share directly to, so I click on the assignment and click these 3 dots. Let me show you again. I wanted to make sure before I said that. So find the assignment inside of your library, click on it, go all the way down to the bottom and find the 3 dots, and click share activity, and you can email it directly to teachers or share wherever you want. That's a really good question. I would have probably.
Stella, can a BoardWorks interactive slide be used as an activity?
I do not have a BoardWorks account, so I cannot vouch for that. Now, it does give you the option whenever you create an activity to upload stuff directly from your computer. So let me click add template. If I click upload, if I select from computer, I can go in and I can find PowerPoint that I have. Let me see if I have any.
Yeah, it's the same thing as a PowerPoint slide that has interactive, elements in it.
Yeah, and I don't have an account for that. I don't have any access to it. So I want to make sure.
I'm definitely going to be testing that one out.
Yes, try that out because it will let you upload PowerPoint. I've seen them done. I just don't know if the interactive would work.
Yeah. Well, even if it didn't, I would be able to choose slides if the interactive features were lost. If that was just, I could then look for the slides that could be worked on top of.
Exactly. Great question. You are the best. Let's see. Oh, Charlene, I just see that you had that question in the chat window from a few minutes ago. I'm so sorry. The Google Slides activities, absolutely. You can upload those. So, yes, it would be wonderful for getting to know students at the beginning of the year. And so are you talking about like Blackboard that we use for college classes? The BoardWorks? If BoardWorks is what you're talking about, the special education department bought it for their SPED teachers, and I'm going to be getting an account. I'm just waiting for them to email me all of my stuff so I can play around with it and learn how to use it.
Okay, good.
Yes, Madison, you can have more than one teacher, and I do have that on my list to show you in just a few minutes. And thinking ahead also, Madison's question made me think about, I had a teacher the other day who's also in this session was talking about how she didn't know how she was going to do like the reading groups where you have your structured reading time with your different levels. Something like this might give you a gap or a bridgeway, not really a gap, give you a bridge to have those reading groups. And the teachers have different classes for their specific reading group, and they have their videos and all of that. I don't know if that could work or not. That's just something that just randomly popped into my head.
I can see where it would work as an assignment slide to have the text there and then the microphone to have the students record their reading.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, and think about like for Audrey, my daughter, her reading just has exploded over the last few months. Like she is reading so well. And I wish that I had started recording her reading a long time ago so she could go back and see how far she's come. And it really boosts her confidence when she can see how far she's come with her reading or math or whatever it is that she's working on. So we talked about the My Library and making assignments from scratch. That's fine and dandy, but sometimes we want to see what other teachers have. I know some of y'all in here buy stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers and all of that, but this community is free. So click on community. And I love this community. So just to reiterate like where we are, we're still on this green add button. We're still in this assign activity, but now instead of the My Library, why is this popping up out of my face? Instead of My Library, we're going to click on Community. Y'all, there's so much good stuff in here. I just love it all. So let's pretend that I want to find something for 10th grade because that's when I make my class. I can use this little drop-down menu and filter it by grade. I can use this little drop-down menu and feature it by subject if I want. That way it limits like everything that I have. The only thing that's really missing, I wish that it had a drop-down menu for standard, but I know that not every state has the same standards. So this is where I just went to the curriculum map and I started looking up like things that would be taught in the grade levels that I did. So I know for a fact that atomic structure is in 10th grade science. So I'm going to click on that. I'm previewing this assignment. I'm just looking at what this creator has in her directions here. And if I'm happy with that, underneath it, it will say if the assignment has a template, it'll say students will edit this template. And you can click there just to see what the student template will look like. So I just clicked on the picture and they'll be able to annotate directly on top of here. If I'm happy with that, I can just go ahead and click assign and assign that to the class that I want it to go to. If I'm almost happy with it, but I don't like the directions or I want to add something, I can click these three dots and click copy and edit that activity. So then it's going to give me the option to rename, change the instructions. Sometimes whenever I was in the classroom, I knew that if I had bought something off of Teachers Pay Teachers and the students found out that it wasn't my work, some of them would make fun of me. So I would go in and kind of modify it a little bit to make it be, to look like I had created it. But really what you're doing is giving that sense of like, oh, this is my teacher. It's not just some random voice, because we know how important that relationship is, especially with the little people. If they hear some random person talking, then they might not be paying attention as much as they hear their teacher because they already have that relationship built. So, okay. Jordan, I'm reading your question right now. While I'm reading Jordan's question, if you all have other questions, feel free to drop those into that chat box or to ask on the microphone. But that community library is absolutely perfect. Like, I love everything inside of there. So Jordan's asking, will everything that we create automatically be put into community teachers, put into the community for teachers everywhere, or do you have to give permission for it to be shared? Jordan, I want to say that it automatically will be shared, but let me double check on mine. I'm pretty sure that it's automatically shared with the community.
Stella, do you give activities test runs before you assign them?
I do. And the way that I do that is inside of Seesaw, I always add myself as a student. And the username that I do for that is my personal email. And I love to go in there and just play around with it as a student. Not only, sorry, somebody's trying to call me on my cell phone and my work phone. I'm like, I'm busy. Call you back. So, yes, I add myself as a student so I can go in and model for my students how to. Hey, sorry, I'm conducting a PD right now. I meant to mute. Oh, sorry. I'll call you back. I don't know who that was. I don't know who I'm supposed to call back.
Well, I can see that would serve two purposes. First, you're going to try the activity and see if it meets your goals. And then second, I could see, is it possible to do a Screencastify then of you completing the activity as part of the instructions to model for students?
Yes, because you can go back in and edit those directions after you get finished. So you could go to your activities as a teacher and then find the activity that you just did a Screencastify for and click these three dots and you can edit that activity and add the link to your video. If that makes sense. Wendy, there is a way to assign folders. Let me edit my activity. Oh, hang on. Let me try to edit a different activity. That activity was trying to make you pay. So, okay. Yes, you can add an activity's due date to it, but it's part of, no, that's a schedule. Maybe not.
I'm just thinking like, when I used Google Classroom, I would, just tell the parents to go to Monday, and complete the activities for Monday. I was just curious if there was a way to do that in here.
There's a way to add it to different folders, but I don't see a way to give it a due date.
Okay, that's all I need is a folder. The due date's not really
Okay.
important. Yeah.
I'll show you the folders next and how to assign just two specific things. Emily had a suggestion about maybe titling it with the due date, and that would work too. But there are ways to make folders for like Monday, August 10th. I don't know if August 10th is a Monday, but you get what I'm saying there. So if you go to your assigned activity, and let's say that you're looking for an activity in the community, and this time, instead of assigning it to everybody, you're looking for a remediation for a student. And let's say that place value is what you're teaching right now. And you click on this one and you proofread it and it sounds good. You're ready to share it. When you click assign, you can click on over here to where it says edit students, folders, and skills. You click there. And you can pick which student it is that you want to get that assignment. So let me pick a different class, a class with actual people in there, not one that is empty. And I can pick which students are supposed to get this assignment. I can also go over and let's say I want it to go to all students, but this one, I want it to go to a folder for Monday. So, sorry, I clicked too fast. I click on folders, I click create a folder, and I click, or I title it. And then I can give it a pretty color if I want it. And then if I want it to go to that folder, just make sure that's checked. And I click this green check mark and then assign to that one class. So I want to show you how to find the folders, but does that make sense? How to add it to folders and how to assign it only to certain students? Awesome. So if I go back to class, now if I go to activities or journal, okay, so if I go to journal, I can go and click on this little folder here and find the assignments that are inside of that folder. So that's how I can find the different folders. Everything will still be in those activities page, so it still will like all filter directly here. But for those who really crave organization, and I know some parents are definitely like that, they need to know what to complete each day, then those folders will be very, very useful. It will show you everything from that day. Okay. So we talked about how to find things from the community and how to add things ourselves and all of that. Do you all have any questions about the activity library? Okay. If you do, feel free to send those into that chat or hop onto the microphone and we will get that answered for you. So the next thing, after we have assignments and students have completed those assignments, then we've got to figure out who's turned one in and how to grade it and how to return it, approve it for classroom and all of that. So if you have things that you need to approve for the class, you're going to get this big red pop-up button on that classroom. Go to this one because I've got more. You can see that I have 19 unapproved posts. That just means that I have not reviewed what has been turned in. So I can click review and I can see what each of my students have done. Now, if I click approve, it's going to approve that to where the students can see that work. If I send it back, the students can do two things. You just tell them what you want them to do. Number one is that they can just view it. They can view any feedback that you leave on it for them. So like if you like it, or if you give them a comment saying good job or anything like that, then they can preview that and just be fine with it. Or they can redo it. So let's say that in the comment you ask for them to redo that assignment, they can do that. So they made that one into a premium within the last little bit. Used to, that was a freebie. So like, if you just leave comments for them, they'll be able to see that. Hopefully that one's not become a premium. I hate when they change. So like, if you don't want it to be approved for the student, like other students to see, you can just say good job, And don't worry, parents will not be able to see like everything posted inside of the class. If they're tied to that student account, they only see what their student has done. So that's part of their safety features. But you can go in, you can listen to whatever the students have done and all of that. Wendy, it doesn't really not like what you would think. So what I recommend doing and what I did in Google Classroom, and if I was using this in the class, you know those little rosters that we can print out from Infinite Campus with students' names on it, and then we can write down their grade.
You know, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Then I will get Ruth Booth to make me a teacher account so I can show people how to do that, because that is a phenomenal resource. But I would keep like a roster of my students in alphabetical order and write down their scores, and probably just comment their score right here, like, hey, you got 10 out of 10.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I know, I wish that it had a grade book, but I've never been able to find one inside of there.
Yeah.
I wish that it did. Google Classroom does, and it's going to be integrated with Infinite Campus this coming year. So if you're interested in that, I do have a penny session coming up on July 17th. So yeah, and we can talk. But Seesaw itself does not have its own rating.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I wish that it did. That's part of the thing that I'm like, ugh. And there's so many things that it does kind of limit you that we do have the free account. But Tracy said, do I recommend us buying the premium package? I have never, ever used it. I know a few teachers who have, and it's got kind of mixed reviews. The things that you can do with the premium package, in my opinion, are very limited for the cost. I think that, you know, skills is nice. It just kind of shows you like the student progress. But for me, I can do that by keeping a running record on paper, like, and transferring that to Infinite Campus, and then I can see the trends of my students. There's just really not a whole lot. Like, you can add other pages to assignments, but to me, if I have to add multiple PDFs or multiple pages, then I'm just going to make multiple assignments, because it's like $120 a year for teachers to have the premium. And to me, like, the community classroom of activities, that's what I love the most. So totally up to you. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't recommend the premium. There are some podcasts that talk about the premium, and I can share. I'll send that in the email with the video for you if you were interested in going to listen to what all they do with the premium. You're very welcome. I wish that I had the premium to play around with, and I'll reach out to Seesaw and see if we can get a free trial of premium. But then they try to sell it to you all, and you know, I hate when companies do that. Our inboxes are already full. I don't think so, but yeah, that's just my opinion. There's way many more things I would rather spend my $100 and some bucks on. All right. So, do you have any questions so far? We've talked about how to add activities, how to review student work, how to share student work with the classrooms, all of that. Okay. So, the next thing that we'll talk about is this inbox. The inbox is where you can go and you can send student announcements, or you can send family announcements. So if you had families that were tied to this account, you could go here and you could add a new message to that family member or family announcement. You could also click on the plus families, and if they were connected, be able to send them a direct message from here. And you could communicate directly on Seesaw without having to go to email or anything like that. Kind of like Remind. So I agree, and I think that their free version is everything that a teacher could ever need. Like the extras are nice, don't get me wrong, but to me, I don't see it being worth over $100 for what little bit of new features you would get. Robin, I will email you the recording. It takes Google Meet just a little bit to process that video, and then I always like to go through and watch it really fast, like in a high speed, and make sure to edit anything out that makes me sound ridiculous. And then I email it to you all. Charlene, you can't, but you can take screenshots if you want to do that and upload them that way. If the students are linked to Google Classroom, they could go in and mark the assignment as done. And you could show students how to do screenshots on the Chromebook. See if I've still got it. So if you are on a Chromebook, students can. Well, let me get my picture over here. If you are on a Chromebook, students can use the keyboard shortcut Control Shift and this little button right here, and it will take a screenshot. It'll look like this. They'll be able to highlight the area of their screen that they want to take a screenshot of, and they'll just copy it to their clipboard and upload it to Google Classroom. Okay. All right. So one of the last things that we'll talk about, and then I'll give you all some time to go and explore Seesaw yourself and get started making your classrooms and all of that. This little wrench right here, if you click on that, that's your settings wheel. And that's where you can go and you can change the title of your class. You can change the grade level of your classroom if you get moved, like if you're supposed to be teaching kindergarten and then there's a last minute switch and you get switched to 5th grade. That would be very crazy, but it could happen, you know. We're always flexible. So you can go in and change that. But that's also where you can go in and you can manage teachers. So you can enter a co-teacher here. We'll add Stephanie Wilson. She's leaving us anyway. And then it will send them an invite. You can change the color of your background. Pick coral, but you can make it be one of these other fun colors. I wish that there was more, but you know. You have your class icon there that you can pick. And then you could also go in and change your student sign-in mode. So at the beginning, I talked about how you could change it to where if it was shared devices and you didn't want them to sign in with their Google account, and then you changed your mind and you wanted to do QR codes or Clever badges, that's where you can go in and change that. If you have a student that withdraws from your class, let's say sample student, you can click where it says students. Where'd it go? Manage student. Click on the student's name, and then you can edit any of their information. So like if they have a family member and they get adopted or whatever, you can invite new family members and remove old family members. But then you can also remove the student from that class, that way they don't show up on your roster anymore. Students, likes, and comments, so you can go in there and edit all of that. There's really a ton of things that you can go in and add. After you get finished, it automatically saves like each individual section that you change. If you need to archive the class or reset your QR code for any reason, you can do that in there as well. But once you get finished with making your changes, you just click X and it's automatically made those changes for you. Okay. All right. I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to double check the agenda and my notes that I have. If you have any questions, please put those into the chat box. And Tammy, absolutely, I certainly will. So while you all are typing questions and comments, if you are, if you want to go ahead and hop on a Seesaw and begin designing your classroom for next year, feel free to do that. I'm also going to share the sign-in sheet and the feedback sheet. If I can get my mouse to cooperate. Okay. So in the chat window, I shared out the link for the sign-in form. The sign-in form for this session is just asking you like some very generic questions. The sign-in form is required for you to get PD credit. The feedback form is completely anonymous and is not required, but is appreciated. I use these feedbacks in order to better create PDs for you all, and I use it to help me grow. So if you would fill those out for me.
Hey, Stella.
Yes.
If can you still get PD credit for this if you watch the video outside of the official meeting? Like some of my mates, I told them they should watch this, and they wanted to know if they would still get PD credit for it.
Tell them absolutely. There is. So what I do, I make these videos be ready on demand, and then I share it out like I'm sharing it on the same PD form. But I'm going to send out an email with Jim to talk about how to watch these on demand, and they'll have a Google form that they fill out to show that they watched the video.
Okay, I'll let them know. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing it. I made myself a note to remember. Like I already have it on my other notepad, but let's see. Louise, thank you so much for being here. We do still have 30 minutes left of the session, but if you want to hop out and work on the Seesaw on your own, then you're more than welcome to. I'm still going to be here for 30 more minutes to answer any questions as you work through. But oh, Emily, you are perfectly fine, girl. This is why I'm at my office and not at home. It's a little bit more quiet here than with my almost 6-year-old running around. Oh, I just saw your other message. You're very welcome, Tara. Hopefully you learned something that you can use with your kiddos next year. Are you switching to second grade, you say? You're going to do awesome. I know you've already taught that grade level before, but I'm excited for you. I'm sad for Becky, though. I get that. Also, I want to share out for those of you who are interested but did not sign up We are having instructional technology for littles this afternoon from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. If you are interested in that, it's the same Google Meet link that you use to get in here. I'm not changing that. So, yeah. Feel free to hop back in with us at 1 o'clock if you want to learn about some new technology that you can use with your kiddos. Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate those kind words. You all are the amazing ones, though. In my opinion, we have the best teachers in the whole wide world. Thank you. Thank you. You all are so sweet. If you hop out and you find out that you need more help like later, I'm always available by email. It's summer and sometimes it takes me a little bit to respond because I'm chilling with Audrey or something, or we're at therapies or something like that. But if you have any questions, email me and I promise I will get back to you. Maureen, I will be happy to answer any questions that you have at any time. You just let me know. Ashley, I'm going to email it to you along with all of the other resources that I talked about, like this little slide deck. It doesn't have very many slides on there, but I will be posting this video not only in the email to you all, but onto this Wakelet. And the Wakelet also will have all of the other pre-recorded sessions on there as well. I'm working on making those be available on demand. I have to make Google Forms that go along with the on-demand video. Y'all are the best, 110%. Thank you, Megan. I will see you then. I will meet you then. It's always a plan, right? Thank you, Sue. That means a lot. Okay, guys, if you've not seen what I just typed on this document, I said I'm ending the recording while teachers work for the last 20 minutes of the session. I am available for questions in the chat as well in the email. Just because I'm ending the recording does not mean I'm ending this chat window. So don't freak out when you see that little red button.